entered the space, I took a picture and sent it to my husband to show him how few of the females we are here. I just got back from conference, and let me tell you something. This is bizarre. So I was literally, of course, I was doing my job and I was connecting with investors like business angels and different sort of individual investors. But I was first of all there on a mission to connect with as many female founders as possible, or like just, females from the industry, either investors, VCs, or business angels. And I approached one of the ladies. I saw that she was just, kind of standing there having her own moment. And I approached her and I said, well, my name is blah, blah, blah. And I'm literally here on a mission to connect with as many females as possible. And then she goes, literally, the minute I entered the space, and it was maybe, I don't know, like 15 rows, 6 rows. And she said, the minute I entered the space, I took a picture and sent it to my husband to show him how few of the females we are here. And that's so true. The minute I was just, walking there, and I've been counting, and I could literally count by the palm of my one hand how many females we had in the audience. And I was just thinking, okay, since I'm here on the mission, right, to find maybe like potential guests for my YouTube channel, or just to hear their thoughts from their expertise and like from their very particular vertical where they are engaged as a founder, as an investor, or as a business angel. And then I was thinking, okay, so since I'm also very much intrigued about immigrant female founders who are coming from abroad, who are very like eager and passionate to set up their own business, overcoming the language barrier, also overcoming all of the struggles, especially here in Germany, right? And then I was like walking around because so the space was, of course, beautifully laid out. And this is not the first time when I'm entering this sort of conference, and it's happening in the city nearby Frankfurt where I'm located. And literally the space has like a lot of floors. They also have a bunch of workshop rooms where you can come in, and for some of these events you're supposed to have like a VIP invitation, so to speak. And I was invited to one of those events, right, where eventually I met this lady. And she was German, or at least German speaking female, right? But I was on the mission to really connect with so many female led businesses with an immigrant background or founder itself. And I was walking around till the trade fair of startups. I was walking around the main stage. Then I was also walking and checking different workshops, venues. And let me tell you something. I could connect with just like a very few on basis that I would potentially consider them as my future guest, or a person whose thoughts and opinions I really wish to hear on the industry about. And it made me think, oh my God, it's even worse than I imagined, right? And let me tell you something. So this conference that I've been today, it's very much about innovation among, like Gen Z or a younger generation of founders, because this is very much backed by the network of universities around Hessen area, and it's also very much backed by this innovative centers in the same region, although I'm in love with what they're doing, right? But I'm really feeling like even the universities, they really try to diversify their portfolios, and they really try to back up as many founders as they are. There are still certain barriers, and there are still certain like entry points where I feel that if you're an immigrant, and especially if you're a female, right, if you're like coming all the way, I don't know, from developing countries, you still feel like you are missed out on a bit. And why am I saying that, right? Because I'm an immigrant myself, and that was also my pitch point, I'd say, today when I was connecting with founders, when I was connecting with startups, with representatives of other networks, so, of other research units in the same region of Hesse. And I was saying, I'm an immigrant. I'm okay with that, right? On top of that, I'm a female immigrant. And on top of that, I'm trying to enter a very male-dominated field of business, like VCs, startup ecosystem, and so on. And I realized that when I was saying that, literally, they could stand by each and every word of mine. There was also one lady, she's coming from India, and she has, I don't know, like master's or almost close to PhD level in physics or engineering. Then she went more into project development work, but still same vertical. And then she looked to Germany, and now she's been 1.5 years in Germany, kind of still settling in the country. And although she was very blessed to end up in the, this quite in international community where she is now, but she said, like, yeah, it's not easy, and as I've said, this event was not like I was just, walking around and people were lining up to me to generate some more leads. For me, it was more like about me really handpicking and looking, are there any female founders around me with an immigrant background? And I still see that it's quite like a rare thing to see them at the very, level where they kind of made it even to a conference to have a stand, or either at a level where they're one of the co-founders or founders who is on the stage pitching, or at least would be even like, sitting in the room among those investors, VCs, business angels. And why am I saying all this? Because as a person who've been, in the ecosystem now for some time, and I'm just trying to understand why is it the way it is, and what can we as, people who work in the ecosystem, who are, so to speak, multipliers, right? So the person that can connect and the person who can really multiply your effort, the output of your business, or to multiply and add up some sort of value to you, even like as a personnel, right? So what can we do as communities to really change this pattern where you go to conference and you do not only see pure German-speaking females, right? Where you see a beyond diverse representation of all the countries possible, where you do not feel like you've been somehow cut, or that because you are an immigrant, you do not fit here. So my really mission, and also what am I trying to do here, right, was just doing these interviews with connecting one by one to founders, to VCs, to investors, is to understand the needs, and also hopefully to create this community on my own, where I can also share the stories of other immigrant females who seem to have it together and who seem to figure that out. And as, for example, let's say the first guest of mine, right, Natalia, she's been 8 years in Germany. She has full-time job. She's a co-founder on the team. She was mentioning that yes, also because of her look, right, and because back in the day she didn't maybe know the language that well, and she's blonde, she's petite, some days she was even considered and approached as a secretary or as like an assistant to her founder, right? And they're doing business together as a couple. Or for example, with another guest of mine, Cheska, who came all the way from Philippines, and now she's in Germany, and when she was telling that, yes, when I was back in Philippines, I pretty much see the same faces, the same males who've been pitching on stages, although she also highlighted how privileged she was in a sense that this venture capital firm where she was employed back in the day, it has a lot of female at like a very board level, decision makers were female. So, but although that's more of an exception than the rule. And I'm sitting here in Frankfurt with my immigrant background, right? I'm coming from Russia. I've been in Germany for the last 5 years. It's going to be my fifth year anniversary, literally, in a couple of weeks. And me being also, I don't want to say the word discriminated, but like I had my own story behind it. I have my own triggers why I'm also sitting here right now and why am I recording all this and why I decided to kind of tap into this scene and to develop a community on my own. And I also feel that in a way it feels like a duty to me, because being the part of the ecosystem and also being in this very, I'd say, privileged position, where daily I'm exposed to founders, co-founders, really females who made it like to CEO levels and who, as I said, also coming from an immigrant background, and sometime back they didn't even know a language, and now they're like, running their own business. They having 4 kids, or also in parallel, they have like a very healthy family relationship. And I feel like I really have this duty and also responsibility and will, what is most important, right? Because otherwise I probably wouldn't do it, to share those stories, to make it vocal, and to hopefully also inspire at least one other female, to submit that application, to go apply for an incubator for accelerated program, to really escalate and excel your ideas, and to really kind of believe in herself. I'm also doing it, of course, for my, personal cause, because I feel like sometimes I'm also missing this skill in a way to speak up when it's necessary, or to not be afraid being a female, to also kind of develop and make beneficial my feminine energy in a way, right, for my own good cause. And that's what I'm doing here, right? So if you feel like you want to dilute a bit this male-dominated community, if you feel like you have a story to share, or if you feel like that you might be the next, VC who want to kind of also break the ice, or like female-led VC, right, who want to break the ice and also show your perspective on the industry, feel free to drop me a line in the comment section, or also in the comment section, let me know if you, for example, coming from an immigrant background, and if you've been struggling with the same things, you came from nowhere, right, or from third world countries, or just maybe, from a nearby country, but you had the same experiences. You started from not knowing how to open your bank account here in Germany to leading your own business in Germany. I'm very looking forward to hear your stories and to connect with as many of you as possible, because, as I said, this is about being a community, and this is about really to speak up, and to share stories of other females who have their own triggers, no matter is it a recent story, is it something that been just, like kind of boiling inside, but also who, those stories they've been kind of also tackled, down as deep as possible. So just reach out. I like to talk, and I like to make your stories being heard. Until the next time.